Hey, what's going on, guys? So we'll be taking a look at the newly released Monarch series of cases for the iPhone 7 from Urban Army Gear. This particular case is for the regular 4.7-inch iPhone 7. They do make it for the Plus model as well, but this is just for the iPhone 7 and it's also compatible with the iPhone 6s, which of course we will get into later on in the video. It's just the case itself. It is all that comes in this very nice packaging. The packaging itself gives us some information about the product and all that. Like I said, it's very nice packaging. It just comes set in here and you just kind of lift up this plastic piece to access the case. On the bottom left of the packaging we can see that it is drop tested 2 times the military standard, which is a very big selling point of this particular case. All of Urban Army cases are military drop tested, but this one is 2 times the military standard, which is ridiculous. You will get an insane amount of drop protection from this case. On the other side you can see that it just kind of says the kind of case it is, and on the back we have an idea of kind of how this case works. We have 5 layers of protection which kind of combine to give you that 2 times the military drop test rating. As you can see, we have an armor frame, which is theoretically this part here. Then we have some leather here, which I don't really know how that contributes to the protection that much, but then we have a polycarbonate shell plate, which is just kind of this area around here, and then we have alloy metal hardware, which is the 3 metal screws around the sides, and then we do have impact resistant rubber, which is a very big part in the protection. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the actual case here and get it installed on the phone. So as you can see, this is the case here. It is just a one-piece case, however it is very solid, which kind of warrants the $60 price tag. It is fairly expensive for a case, but it is 2 times the military drop test standard, and it feels very nice and looks very good in my opinion as well. So we will go ahead and put the case on the phone before looking at it further. To do that, you just kind of put in the left side of the phone. I mean, theoretically either side works, but I like doing this side because then you're not pushing on the mute switch and all that. So you do put in that side first, and you just kind of snap it on around the edges, and then the installation is complete. Taking it off of the phone is also very easy as well. You can kind of just push on the corner, get the corner of the phone out, and then you do have access to the phone. So if you want to swap cases often, this is definitely not a bad case for you because it is very easy to get on and off the phone despite the insane amount of protection it provides. As for frontal protection, I currently have a glass screen protector on here, so my front is mostly covered, but this case does offer a very nice lay on the table design. As you can see here, the case comes up further than the actual face of the phone, so if you were to set the phone on the table in this case, the table will just be touching the case rather than touching your phone screen, which is of course a good thing because you don't want to be scuffing up your phone screen and things like that when you set it down. Most cases do offer this, but it is nice to see that trend being continued. On the back of the case here, this is where you have most of the look and all of that, which I think looks very good. One thing I don't really enjoy about iPhone cases is that it does take away from the look of the iPhone 7. However, this case does look very good in my opinion, so I don't really have a problem with it. As you can see, the things I mentioned earlier, we do have the kind of multiple pieces here. We do have the 3 metal screws in each corner, which are actual metal, as compared to some of Urban Army Gear's other cases. And they do have some real leather here in between, just to kind of add to the design and the feel and all of that. On each of the sides here, we do have a lot of grip, which is very nice. As you can see, we do have this little hexagonal pattern on both sides of the case here, and this just provides grip and all that. So when you're holding your phone, it does provide a bunch of grip, so you won't have any problems with your phone slipping out of your hand or anything like that. The iPhone 7 is very slippery on its own, so it is nice to see that grip added with the case here. We do also have extra rubber on each of the 4 corners here. As you can see this little kind of nub in here, and that is on each of the corners, so that if you were to drop your phone, one of the most likely impact points is at the corner. So if you were to drop it like this, it would hit this rubber and disperse throughout the case rather than just going into your phone, which is of course crack the screen or do something worse than that. So it is nice to see this reinforced rubber around the sides here, which is kind of what they're talking about with the protection. This does have 2 times military drop protection, as I mentioned, so for the most part you shouldn't really have any problems with the protection this case provides. As for our cutouts for everything, as you can see here, we do have a very nice cutout for our mute switch. It's very roomy, very easy to access your mute switch and all of that. And then we have a very nice overlay for our volume rocker. One thing that most people know about Urban Army cases by now, but I think it's very nice, is that the rubber piece isn't attached on all sides here, so it is attached on like 2 sides, maybe like there and there. And what this does is that it makes it so it's very easy to push the buttons, and it just feels very much like the actual iPhone 7 buttons, except of course there's the extra rubber added on it, but the rubber does just provide grip and all of that, and it does feel exactly like the iPhone 7 buttons. One thing that I'm very picky about in cases is the feel of the buttons, but the Urban Army cases almost perfectly preserve the feel of the stock iPhone 7 buttons. Same for a sleep wake button, except we do have a little more added grip with this kind of a vertical design here, so you can easily feel the sleep wake button in your pocket and things like that. As for the bottom of the case here, this is something that's a little bit interesting. As you can see, Urban Army Gear still has the headphone jack cutout, which is where the compatibility with the iPhone 6s comes in. We do have a very nice cutout for all of our ports on the iPhone 7, however we do have this extra little cutout for our headphone jack, even though we don't have a headphone jack on the iPhone 7. So Urban Army Gear didn't want to manufacture a different case for the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 6s, so you do have a headphone jack cutout on our iPhone 7 case, which which is not a terrible thing. I mean, I don't think it looks very good, so if everybody, like, when they see the iPhone 7, the first thing they go to look at is the bottom of the phone, because they're like, oh, there's no headphone jack, and so people will be actually kind of like looking at the bottom of the phone. So if you don't really like the look of the cutout when there's no headphone jack there, that is something to keep in mind. I personally don't really like it. I mean, I wish it was just a normal speaker cutout, but at the same time, I really enjoy this case, and so it's not too big of a deal for me. Like I said, I do wish it wasn't there, but I guess if you maybe have an iPhone 6s and an iPhone 7 for some reason, you will be able to use this case on both devices, and it's nice. And from a business standpoint, it does make sense that Urban Army Gear wouldn't want to spend extra on manufacturing two different cases for phones that are very, very similar, except for this one little part here. The other part here that kind of differentiates this from the iPhone 6s is the cutout for the camera. If you have an iPhone 6s, you have a much smaller camera lens, so you will have a fairly big area on the back of your phone that is accessible by dust and things like that. So something to keep in mind. It's not bad for the iPhone 7 because the lens and the flash take up a big part of it, but if you do have an iPhone 6s, then there will be a kind of excessively large cutout because it is made for the iPhone 7 with its bigger camera lens. But for the iPhone 7, it does work very, very well, and you don't have any problems with the side getting in the way of the flash or the camera lens or anything like that. Overall, it is a very, very nice case, and one that I really do enjoy using. Probably my favorite thing about it overall is just the look of the case. It has a very kind of sturdy, rugged look, and I think it looks very, very nice on the iPhone 7, especially in the black color here. This is the graphite color, but they do also have a color called platinum, which is basically just a lighter silver. I'm hoping to take a look at that case later on, but we'll see if that happens. I do believe I'll make a separate video for the lighter version of this case, even though it is almost exactly the same apart from the color. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and check that out later on. But yeah, like I said, overall, I do enjoy using this case. This will be my main phone case for probably the next several months. I'm sure maybe even for the entire life of the iPhone 7. We will see. This case is very, very rugged, very, very good looking, and it's basically everything I look for in a phone case. And one thing that I guess I didn't mention is that this case does have a 10-year warranty as opposed to Urban Army Gear's normal 1-year warranty. So that just kind of shows you how rugged and everything like that it is if Urban Army Gear is willing to stand behind the case for 10 years. There's a very good chance you won't even have the same phone in 10 years, but the case, theoretically, Urban Army Gear will replace it if anything goes wrong with it. So it is very nice just to see that you do have that peace of mind that Urban Army Gear stands behind the case very much, which is very important when purchasing a phone case, because you know it's a quality phone case, it will protect your phone, and the case won't look too bad after use and all of that. So yeah, anyway, this has been my review of the Urban Army Gear Monarch series for the iPhone 7. If you wish to purchase this product, of course, you can do so using the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, then like and is always appreciated. If you'd like to see more videos very similar to this one, then feel free to subscribe. I will be doing reviews on a bunch of new Urban Army Gear cases for the iPhone 7, so you can keep an eye out for those. This has been Jordan for Joe Reviews. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next review.